Okay, so next speaker to talk about creative copying in mobile games. He is a game developer at MochiBits. MochiBits, ayan. Let us all welcome Howard D. Go.
Okay, I want to start off where Marnell, two speakers ago, mentioned that a regular programmer can often be better than an academic programmer. I flunked out of computer science, graduated philosophy, taught for 5 years philosophy, went to the corporate world, had nothing to do with computers, and for the past 3 years, I have been a very successful game developer. When I left the corporate world, I was a VP. I am now earning double whatever I earned during that time as a game developer. Okay? And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I have learned how to be creative, how to learn what the market wants. And when I heard that I had a chance to speak to developers, programmers, I felt that the topic that should be shared is how to creatively copy. Okay? The reason why is because in my experience with those I have met and the blogs I have read, a developer who is hardcore programmer, academic, nerd type usually cannot make a good application or a game. The technical side of programming has overruled their ability to be creative. Okay? And so I felt if I'm going to be speaking to programmers, what I should give them is something that they might be lacking, something that would help them to succeed. Okay, so I'm just curious, how many here would like to become a game developer? How many are already making games? None? A couple. Good. Okay, so let's begin. So, why copy? Okay. A lot of people talk about the importance of originality, but originality is overrated. If you're too original, no one will understand what your product is. When you create something new, people will look at it and say, what's that? But if you're innovative, if you get something that's already present out there and you make it better, you make it superior, you make it so that the guy who didn't want to use it now says, I have a reason to use it, then you can become successful. Okay. To stress the importance of this, I want you guys to realize and remember that Google was the 2000th search engine. Facebook was the 400 plus social network. Okay? An iPhone, although it claims to be the first touchscreen smartphone, was not actually the first touchscreen smartphone. There were others before that, but someone said, I will make it better. I will make it different. And if you guys are Android fans who don't like Apple, you will know that the newest Android OS is actually better than iOS 6. It's smoother. It has things that iOS 6 doesn't have. In fact, iOS 6 was a copy of the last Android, Android 4.2. The ability to get something at the top when you scroll down, Android invented that first. But iOS did it in such a way that it looked like iOS made it first. Okay, and if you guys have seen iOS 7, my devices are on iOS 7 now. It's cool, it's fun, it has stuff that's innovative, but still, it's a little bit behind Android. But the difference is, Android has a problem with hardware. Okay, but we're not going to talk about that much. But I want you guys to see that Apple stands out because it innovated. It did things that other people did not. It took a gamble and it worked. And if you do that, if you're innovative, you build on the shoulders of giants. Someone already had a good concept. You're just building on it. Someone already invented the wheel. Someone already figured out the algorithm to do a match 3 game or a special social game or a word game or Scrabble. You just get that existing program and you build on it. So instead of spending 1 year developing, you're left with only 2 or 3 months to iron it out. You use familiarity. So that when people see a game, which we'll discuss a couple of games later on, that they're familiar with, immediately they say, oh, that game is like X, that game is like Y. So they understand it just by looking at the icon. They understand it just by looking at one screenshot. They know what the game is. You don't even need the tutorial. And most importantly, if you're innovative, someone else marketed your product for you. So that when you release your game, everyone's already gonna want to download it because someone else already spent the money to make that game popular. And we're gonna see one example that did that very well. So, how do I copy? I'm gonna go through this very quickly because the key points will be the 4 examples we're going to look at. Recognize the elements that work, okay, and why they work. A lot of people say, hey, that game's good, I'm gonna copy it. And then they copy it the wrong way. A good example is the success of Angry Birds. It came out, it was successful, a lot of people said, I like that, I will copy it. And how did they copy it? They came up with penguins versus pirates, skeletons versus zombies. Okay? And it's exactly the same as Angry Birds. That doesn't work, that's bad copying. Okay? You have to come up with a better name, a better concept, some improvements. You have to figure out why it works. Another example is a game called Drop the Chicken. You guys probably never heard of it because it was a terrible, terrible game. But it was actually a copy of Cut the Rope, except it copied it in all the wrong ways. It made everything hard. If you guys ever played Cut the Rope, a kid can solve it. It's designed to look puzzling, but it's so easy to solve. Drop the Chicken was difficult on so many levels, and so it flopped. So, you should also look for the twist you can add. Okay? A twist that allows you to focus on a particular market. So that you can say, this market is the market that will want my app. They will need it, they will be addicted to it. Or you can change it so that it can apply to more people, and more people can enjoy it. You can also focus on what to keep, aspects that are important. These aspects are the ones that allows anyone who looks at your game to say, I know this game, I can play this game, I like this game, just at one glance. And then of course you can add juice to make it better, okay, depending on who your market is. Okay, so we'll look at some examples, and this is really the key point where we'll see the things that we can learn. Everyone's familiar with Logos Quiz? Okay, Logos Quiz came out in around March 2012. If you notice, it didn't do well before. And then they went free, flew to the top, made lots of money. They were making around, at their best, around 10 million a month, dollars. Okay? Icon Pop Quiz, you guys have heard of that? It is actually a copy of Logos Quiz. Someone in Indonesia looked at Logos Quiz and said, hey, people like this. They see something they recognize, but it's not the full picture, and they have to figure out the full picture. So what I will do is I'm going to come up with a better version. Logos Quiz requires you to know logos, but it's very niche. If you guys played Logos Quiz, you would know, if you're a guy for example, you can recognize games, you can recognize sports icons, car icons, but once you go to bags, fashion, you have to go to a girl. Right? There are logos that you absolutely cannot recognize. Icon Pop Quiz, which came out around 8 months later, okay, went to the top almost immediately without having to do any marketing. You see its rank? Okay? And for a while it made more money, and actually up to now it still makes more money than Logos Quiz. I know the ranks are not that clear. Sorry, there was a time over here. Okay, but now not as much. Okay? But they copied the concept, but they said, I'll use icons, pop icons, that almost anyone can recognize. And it succeeded. Okay? Next, please. Have you guys heard of 4 picks 1 word? Here's the thing. 4 picks 1 word, the one you're playing, chances are, it's this one, by Lotum, which is actually a copy that came out 5 months. Sorry, not 5 months, 4 months. 4 months after the original. What's the word? I want you to look at the icon of what's the word. It's an ugly icon. This is a nice icon. This is the icon that every copycat of 4 picks 1 word has been using. What's the word used this icon because it was a copy of Logos Quiz. In fact, the original name of What's the Word when it first came out in November last year was What's the Word? A fun and addictive word association game with Logos Quiz answers. It was that long. But they were marketing on the hype of Logos Quiz. Now, What's the Word? Makes more than Logos Quiz, makes more than Icon Pop Quiz. But the better name, which has exactly the same gameplay, except it has one more tile to guess with. This one has 11 tiles to choose, this one has 12 tiles to choose. 4 Pigs, 1 Word was the better name. Why? Everyone who played What's the Word would ask, what's that game? Oh, it's what's the word? What? Long name. But it's the one with 4 pigs and 1 word. That's what everyone called it. Once everyone called it that, the copycat said, why would I give it a really long name that doesn't make sense? I'll call it 4 pigs, 1 word. It comes out straight to the top, and it's doing better than What's the Word. Let's look at another game. Bejeweled, a classic game that existed before you were born. Okay? The ones who created Bejeweled decided, I will release Bejeweled, which everyone is familiar with, and I'm also going to release another game called Bejeweled Blitz. In Bejeweled Blitz, I will now find a way to monetize. I'm going to put power-ups and cheats. And if you look at it, you see how much it's making? Bejeweled has been making steadily less and less and less and less. Bejeweled, in fact, you never need to spend more than $1. You buy it for $1, you can play it for the rest of your life. Okay? And it's the same game over and over again. Bejeweled Blitz cheats you. You have to play for only 2 minutes, you have to use power-ups, you're competing with people, it's stressful. But it makes a lot of money. At that rank, over the top 100, it's probably making around 14 million a month. And then, the copycat that almost every Filipino is aware of. Can you press next? Candy Crush. It is actually Bejeweled with some new concepts and a much more frustrating gameplay. It's designed so that after 20 levels of fun, of easy levels, you suddenly hit a wall and curse the game. And say, I will not play anymore! But you will. Okay? You think it has something to do with skill, but it's really luck. And it's designed so that you're going to spend. You see, you can't even tell the difference between its rank for puzzle and arcade versus overall in games. It's all jumbled up because it's all number 1 or number 2. They reported, King.com, that they make over $1 million a day, $1 million a day with this one single game, which is a copycat of Bejeweled. Except they added a twist that made it so addictive that it became the number 1 game for a very, very long time. Okay. So, if you guys choose to become game developers, don't think I have to create a game that no one has ever thought of. What you really need to begin with is a game that you know people like, that you can do better. If you can't do better, differently. So that you tap a different market. It doesn't have to be a huge market, but if that market's dedicated, you can make good money. You can make this your life. I have been a full-time developer, and one of our games makes over $200 a day. That's just one game. Okay? And we have around 3 games that more or less make that much. Our other games don't make as much, $50, $20. But what we do is we look for that market, we look for the niche, we copy, we improve, we make it different, and we release a game. Okay? So, if you want to be a game developer, be innovative. That said, I'll end there and leave it for open forum for questions. Anyone?
Wala po bang naging legal issues about dun sa mga games, like for example, di ba, yung Bejeweled, copy lang, yung Candy Crush, copy lang siya ng Bejeweled.
So, no, it's not a copy, it's an improvement.
Improvement, yeah. Pero hindi ba nag-attempt yung Bejeweled na, or,
you can.
Kasi, yun nga, it's like copying, but
okay, it's like copying, and that's the key. It's like copying. It's not the same thing. Okay?
But it's like, parang yung nangyari din po sa Samsung and Apple, nag-sue silang dalawa, di ba?
Okay, the story between Samsung and, I know where you're coming from. The fear of IPR. Okay, so I'll answer that. First, the famous Samsung and Apple story. The reason why Apple became a total jerk and started attacking Samsung is because one time when Steve Jobs was with Apple, they got sued by a very small company for a concept that they themselves created. Because of that, he got so angry. He said, I don't care what the engineers create. Whenever an engineer has an idea, meet with the lawyers, find out if you can patent it, and patent it. Okay? So that, you know that when you scroll, that little thing appears on one side that goes up and down? You know that bounce back when you scroll? That's patented. They patented, as you guys have read the news, the shape of the iPhone. A rounded, rectangular phone, which Nokia had years before iPhone. But the difference is they patented it. And in America, they won on some, but in Korea, in other countries, they lost. Okay? Right now, the way it's going, there will be always some jerks. And there's one game developer who's a jerk like that, the one who made 7 Little Words. They actually shut down the game of a fan site. Someone made a fan site of 7 Little Words talking about how great the game was and showing the answers to the puzzles. And he got sued. Okay? I have never seen a game developer sue a fan. Okay? We have games where people show the answers to our games. That's great. That means they love the game that much. Okay? Because the number of people who cheat like that are very few. They don't even matter in the bigger picture. Okay? But even though there are people like that, the fact of it is copying completely the look, the feel, and the name is what gets you sued. If you don't have the name, almost automatically they cannot sue you. Even if you have the same look and feel. Okay, it's the name that they can sue you most for, because that's the one that's inside all the papers in the filing system that lawyers can use. But look and feel, the reality of it is they cannot. Okay, and that's why when it comes to look and feel, a lot of people can actually duplicate almost completely a concept. And I'm going to name a few right now. If you guys have heard of Tiny Wings, Minecraft, even Angry Birds actually. These are all rip-offs of Flash games that existed a long time ago. They're copies, but no one's suing them. People complain, say, hey, you're not that creative. Okay? So, okay. Even the iPhone is not that creative. If you look at it, really, it's not that amazing. It's just marketed really, really well. Okay. So, will you get sued only if you copy the name and the look and feel to the letter, completely, 100%. And I just told you, copy creatively. Okay? Know what to use, know what to get. Okay? Any other questions? None? That's it? Okay. Yes.
Sir, with respect to legal issues, has a modder been ever sued?
Has the what?
Pertaining to legal issues, have a game modder have ever been sued? Modifier. People who modify some parts of a game and create a duplicate, I don't know.
If it's proven that what I did was I got your code and I modified it, I can get sued.
So I mean a fan, let's say a fan makes a mod of a game. Say
For example, Dota.
Dota or Counter-Strike, yes.
Counter-Strike, those are mods.
Can the modder get sued?
Depends on how they market the product. In America, for example, which is the mother of all suing countries, all you need to do is say, like. Just add that word, like Minecraft. Okay? Or you can even add the word not Minecraft. And you're done. I don't know if you guys read, I think it was Inquirer or Star 2 days ago. There was an article about, pornography. Okay? doing parodies. Okay? Because it's been a dying business because of torrent and other sites. And a group of producers of that kind of video decided, I will parody famous films. So now they just add not Star Trek, Batman parody, Justice League parody, and they cannot be sued simply by adding that phrase. So if you decide to modify and make changes and call it exactly the name of something else, you're open to getting sued. The fan of 7 Little Words who got sued, his main problem, according to 7 Little Words, was that his website was called 7 Little Words, which actually is the fault of 7 Little Words for not locking down that site when they first launched their app. It's the same thing. I don't know if you guys heard about PLDT.com. Okay, the Philippines had that same problem. PLDT existed for years. They created a website and they decided to get PLDT.com.ph. This guy saw it and said, wow, no one wants PLDT.com. I'll get it. PLDT sued him. Okay? But in the end, PLDT had to settle. Because on paper, it was shown that PLDT did not care about PLDT.com until the idiot who came up with .com.ph for PLDT realized nobody adds .ph. So, oh my gosh, I chose the wrong site. Okay? Then they wanted that site. Okay? But unless you copy the name completely, you're almost completely safe. Okay? And even programmers know that. Because as you guys, as programmers, unless you rip off your classmate, you know someone can make a game, an application that looks and feels exactly like yours with his or her own coding, right? And you're not going to say, you copied me. No, right? Because in the end, he has to design the algorithm himself, the code himself. And that's actually one of the reasons why Apple, a lot of engineers resign. Because they know, I might have come up with this look, this feel, this idea, but another engineer can do the same thing in his own way. And I have no right to stop him from being that creative. So, like I said, unless the developer is a jerk, like the developers of 7 Little Words, you're safe. Okay? In fact, there's only 2 cases I know of wherein people sued. One was by Atari, because they were going bankrupt and someone copied Pac-Man and called it Pac-Man. Okay? Which I said you should never do. In the 7 Little Words case, because the guy's website was called 7 Little Words, and 7 Little Words is a bunch of jerks. Okay? They're really, as in, if you download their game, anyone who looks like our game, we will go after, we'll run after, blah, 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 blah. A site filled with legalities. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Can you give us an example of a game you copied?
A game I copied? You saw the 4 picks 1 word? We came up with our own version called 4 words. It's 4 words, 1 word, basically. Okay, there are basically right now 6 versions of the game out there. To my knowledge, when we first came out, based on their rankings, we were the most successful one. But another one came out recently that seems to be doing a little better than us. Okay, but that's an example. 4 picks 1 word, we came up with 4 words, that's it. You're given 4 words, guess the word they're all associated with. Any other questions? No more? Okay, again, if you notice, I added the word creatively copy. Don't think I'm copying. You're not. You're changing, you're adding, because the guy who made it previously did not make it perfect. Even the makers of Bejeweled came up with Bejeweled Blitz. They changed it enough so you could do better. You could make more money. Okay, so copy creatively. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sir Howard, for that